Hey, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday night. I hope you had a great start to your week, a great first day. I know I had a busy day, but I wanted to come live to talk to you tonight about something that actually I've been talking to a lot of people about, and it really, I find when I have the same conversation multiple times with multiple different people, with different clients, with whoever, I feel like it's something that I need to go live about because it means that it's something that's going to resonate with a whole bunch of people. So hopefully I'm right on this one, and I would love to hear your feedback. And if you were on here live, definitely give me a hashtag live. And if you pick this up in the replay, let me know, because I always like to hear who has seen them in the replay. So give me a hashtag replay, or just shoot me a message and say, hey, I saw this, watched your live. Or you can stop me if you see me, because I get that also a lot from people, which is super cool, because I love to know that what I'm saying is resonating with people and having an impact. So please give me a shout out and let me know, because it feels good to know that, know that I'm just not talking to air out there, to the Facebook land of nothing. But tonight I wanted to talk to you about the concept of choosing your hard. Now, what do I mean by that, right? So everything in life that we face is hard, right? Everything. Hey, Francie. Hi, Gail. Hey, Sherry. What's clicking? You hear clicking? Oh, was it? It might have, Sherry, it might have been me inviting people. My nails were hitting it. So tell me if the clicking didn't stop, because if it didn't stop, then that's not what it was. But that's probably what it was. Hey, Amy. So tonight I want to talk about choosing your hard. What do I mean by that, right? Everything in life is hard. Life is hard, right? I don't think anybody that's listening would disagree that life is easy, right? Or would say that life is always easy, because it's not. Life is hard. Everything that we're facing is hard. Everything that we do is hard. But the thing is, we have to choose our hard. Sherry, click away, yeah. Okay, I'm glad that answered what it was. My nail was hitting it. Sometimes I can get it with a thumb that doesn't hit. You can't hear it, but I guess tonight I wasn't so good with that. Everything in life is hard, right? But we have to pick what our heart is. We're swapping, when we are making a change in our life, when we're doing something, we're swapping one hard for another hard. Really, that's really all we're doing. And this is a super powerful concept when you start thinking about this. And this really, for me, has been a huge mind shift change, because a lot of times when we are faced with wanting to make a change in our life, right, we think, oh, it's going to be so difficult to do it. It's going to, whatever those challenges are going to be, it's so hard, it's so difficult to do it. But what we're living in is hard too. So we're picking our hard, right? So I'm going to talk about this in weight loss right now first, but it really applies to everything in life, right? But when I was 75 pounds over, when I was 100 pounds overweight, not just 75 pounds overweight, but when I was 100 pounds overweight, it was hard, right? I was out of breath. I struggled to walk the stairs. I had no energy. I had trouble finding clothes that fit. I didn't feel good about myself, right? On and on and on and on and on. It was hard, right? I was miserable, absolutely, positively miserable. It was hard. And it was really hard. And when I made a decision to get healthy, that was hard too, right? I was swapping one hard for another hard, right? I was swapping one hard of living an unhealthy life and all the negative things that come along with living an unhealthy life, to the hard that it took to get myself to a healthy place. And now I have the hard that it takes to stay in a healthy place. It's not easy. I work really hard to keep myself in a healthy place. Now I feel much better. Right? I'm no longer winded when I walk up the stairs. I have energy to play with my kids, right? Clothes fit me nicely. I feel good about myself. I have all those positives, but it's really hard. I have to work hard every single day. I have to make decisions every single day to make sure I stay that way, right? I have to make sure that I don't let my stress eating get out of control, or otherwise I will end up back where I was, right? So you're picking one hard for another hard, right? This is the same in every single thing in our lives, okay? Put yourself in, when you were a student, or when you're with kids being students, right? They have their hard that they have to deal with, right? They want to go out with their friends. They want to do all these things, right? But their hard is, so they have that, and then their grades aren't what they want them to be, or they're not performing in school the way they want to perform, right? So then they switch over, but it's hard to stay good in school, right? One decision or the other. You have hards in every single thing that you do. It takes work. Life takes work. Every choice that we make, everywhere that we want to go in our life, takes work and takes, hey Izzy, I've got a visitor again tonight. She likes it when I go live. Right? Everything that we do in our life is hard. And so when you start thinking about that, when you're faced with a challenge, as he thought, when you're faced with a challenge in your life and it's difficult, just start thinking about what is one hard, what am I going to switch one hard for another hard? Is he come like what is that one hard that I'm going to switch for something else, right? And when we start thinking about that, you want to go outside, girly girl? Sorry, it's dark over here. When we start thinking about that one change, one hard to another hard, it really makes whatever that decision is a little bit easier, right? And a little less overwhelming, because it doesn't feel like we're going to be, that struggle of the change, right? When we look at it and say, okay, but what I'm in now is also really hard, right? A lot of times we don't think of it that way, right? When I was 75, 100 pounds overweight, I didn't sit back and say, oh, this is really hard. Being overweight is really hard, right? It was hard. It was hard. It was terribly hard. And I can see that in hindsight, right? And we can see that when we look back on things, that it's hard. What is hard in our current lifestyle, right? We have to pay attention to that. Because then once we pay attention to that and we make that shift, okay, it's going to be hard to make changes. Change is always hard. I don't know about you, but I hate change. I am such a creature of habit. I am such a creature of routine, right? My routine is the same thing pretty much every day. And, when my schedule gets off, it throws me for a loop. I don't know who else is like that. Give me some raised hands or something if you are also a creature of habit and creature of structure and creature of routine, right? I can eat the same thing pretty much every day and be happy as a clam, right? Because that structure, that routine, all those pieces, right? And it's hard. It would be hard for me to switch that. But what comes from that, right now, I don't need to change that. But when I was 75, 100 pounds overweight, and I needed to change that routine, I couldn't necessarily see how hard things were in my life. I knew that I didn't feel well. I knew how miserable I was in certain ways. But in certain ways, I felt like, well, this is just easy, right? I can just sit back and just be fat, right? And just whatever. But I didn't realize until afterwards, until I started to make the change, how hard my life really was because of that extra weight. So when you're struggling with something that you want to make a change, take a step back, right? Sort of take a step back and look at it from somebody else's perspective or from another perspective, and let yourself see how difficult that situation is. See that hard and evaluate that hard versus the hard that you're going to have to face to make that change. I hope this is all making sense and I'm not talking in circles, because I kind of feel like I'm talking in circles. But give me some feedback if this resonates with you. But it really, as you let this sort of spin in your head, you wish you could get into a routine, Amy. But routine is super important. Routine and structure is super, super, super important for all of us, right? Structure is what gives us freedom to do things, right? Structure is what keeps us in check. When we don't have structure, sometimes we feel like I don't need structure. I can just fly by the seat of my pants. But that's when we bring chaos into our lives, right? That is when complete chaos happens and things get forgotten, right? I live by my calendar, right? And I never liked structure before I really recognized this, but I see how much easier my life is. It's hard to keep a calendar. This is the choose your hard, right? Okay. So when I didn't keep a calendar and I was, free as a bird and I can do whatever and whenever and feel comfortable with that, right? But things got forgotten or, things got missed or, right? And that was more difficult for me. Or then I would feel the pressure, the stress, because I would forget something, right? And then all of a sudden I would be in the middle of something and somebody would say to me, oh my, you're supposed to be doing X, Y, and Z. And then I would have this pressure because I would have forgotten, because I didn't have the structure of living by my calendar, right? So now that I have changed that, I live by my calendar. Everything is on my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, it doesn't get done, right? That's just the reality of where I am. So is it more difficult to keep a calendar? Sure. But things are easier. Things in my life are so much easier because I'm living by that structure and I don't miss things anymore. Or if I do, it's because it didn't get put on my calendar, right? For some reason, right? But I have that structure. So I've chosen my hard, right? I would much rather have the hard of having to keep a calendar and having to keep myself in some sort of structure and some sort of order and some sort of sanity versus that chaos that I was living that I thought was easier and I thought was more fun, but it really wasn't. It was really much more difficult. So whatever it is, wherever you find that you want to make a change in your life and you're struggling, right? Change is hard for all of us, right? But again, pick your hard. Change is really hard for all of us. And sit back and say, okay, this is what is hard about this, and what's going to be hard if I do it differently, and which hard do I want? Which thing do I want, to focus on? And when you do that, you're going to make the right decision, whatever that is, whichever decision that is. And I'm not saying that your current hard is better than the new hard, right? I don't know which way it is, but that's going to help you evaluate it. So I hope that, like I said, I hope I wasn't talking in circles. Now my other dog wants to go out. I hope I wasn't talking in circles. I'm going to sign off and say goodnight. Like I said, I made a promise to myself last week that I was going to be off technology by 11. I've been doing really well with that, so I'm sticking to that. And tomorrow night, I'm going to come live and talk to you, give you an update on how the other challenges that I took last week are coming along, because they are coming along nicely. So I hope you guys have a great night. I would love to hear your feedback. Hopefully, like I said, I didn't talk in circles tonight. I would love to hear your feedback, hear what your hard is, and which hard you've given up for different hards. I would love to hear that. And if you have anything that is on your mind or on your thoughts that you would love for me to discuss, or either discuss as a live or discuss with you privately, feel free to reach out. Have a great night, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Bye.